The Saint in Chains. The void was silent, a graveyard of forgotten worlds and dead suns. An Imperial scavenger ship drifted through the wreckage, searching for scrap and relics. They didn't expect to find a body. He floated among the corpses of a derelict fleet, a man untouched by time. His skin unbroken, his chest unmoving, his red cape shredded but still glowing faintly, as if it remembered sunlight. By the throne, one of the scavengers whispered. "He's not decayed." The tech adept scanned him. No life signs. No rot. No stasis field. A pause. But, his cells, they're dividing. Constantly. Panic spread. A relic that lived was a relic that corrupted. The Inquisition was summoned. Within hours, a black ship arrived, bearing the sigil of the Ordo Hereticus. They took the body. No words, no explanation. He awoke to light. Blinding, artificial, white and holy. Chains dug into his wrists and ankles. His ears filled with chants, 1,000 voices whispering prayers in binary and Latin. Around him, hooded priests moved like shadows, their faces replaced with iron masks. "Specimen is awake," one intoned. "Begin sanctified dissection." He tried to speak, but his throat was dry. The words came out cracked. "Where am I?" A servo skull floated close, its mechanical eye glowing. "You are in the cathedral forge of Mars Secundus. You were found drifting in the Emperor's realm. You are to be studied, for the glory of the Omnicia." The man tried to move, and the chains glowed with psychic fire. He screamed as energy surged through him, burning muscle and bone. "Resistance confirmed," said a priest. "Flesh is impure. Purge it." They cut him open. Blades met flesh, and stopped. Not even the Mechanicus-blessed saws could pierce his skin. Sparks flew. The priest stared, murmuring. "His tissue rejects steel," said one. "His blood radiates power unrecorded in Imperial genome data." A voice echoed from the darkness, heavy, cold, commanding. The Inquisitor had entered. "Is it a Xeno?" The head priest bowed. "No. Something older. Something purer." The Inquisitor studied him through her mask. A false saint, perhaps. But useful. He felt her presence, cruel, righteous, absolute. "You will serve," she said. "Or you will be broken." He tried to remember who he was. Images flickered in his mind, blue skies, laughter, a yellow sun. But they slipped away like dust in a storm. The priests turned the lights brighter. "Begin conversion protocols." As they strapped conduits to his veins and injected holy oils into his heart, one whispered softly, almost reverently. "He bleeds gold. Perhaps, a god walks among us." And in the sterile, metallic light of the forge, the man who had once been Superman screamed as his humanity was slowly burned away. The conversion rite. The cathedral forge bled light. Every wall was alive with chanting cogitators, every breath a whisper to the machine god. Superman, though that name was gone now, hung suspended between metal pillars, surrounded by smoke, incense, and fire. The priests had stripped away his clothing, dignity, and freedom. In its place, they wrapped him in sacred cables and steel. Each movement brought pain. Each heartbeat echoed with the hum of holy machinery. The Inquisitor stood before him, robes of black and crimson, face half-shrouded by a gold mask shaped like a skull. "You are not of this Imperium," she said coldly. "Yet your body defies death. That makes you both a miracle and a threat." He looked up at her through blood and sweat. "I'm not your enemy," he rasped. "Please." The Inquisitor raised a finger. A switch flicked. Electricity surged through his veins. His body arched, muscles locking, eyes glowing faintly red before dimming again. "You are a man," she said. "But a man who defies the Emperor's law cannot remain one." Hours passed. Days blurred into agony. They replaced his heart with a sanctified reactor, a machine that throbbed in rhythm with the forge's hymns. They burned holy runes across his chest, branding him with the sigils of obedience. They laced his nervous system with pain circuits, ensuring his body would obey even if his will refused. Every cut, every bolt, every wire was accompanied by the sound of prayer. Let flesh be weak. Let the machine be pure. Let the soul obey. He screamed until his voice broke. When no sound came, they filled his lungs with oxygen fluid and kept working. At one point, a young Mechanicus acolyte hesitated. "Magos," he whispered. He was speaking, he begged for mercy. The senior priest's voice was cold. "Mercy is heresy." He turned his metal face toward the acolyte. "Would you show pity to a corrupted engine?" The boy said nothing. Superman opened one swollen eye. "I remember, light." The Magos frowned. Delusion. His memory must be purged. A needle descended from above, long, silver, dripping black fluid. It pierced the base of his skull. His memories flickered, a farm, laughter, his mother's smile, Lois' voice, then silence. He fell limp. The Inquisitor approached, her tone almost gentle. "And now, child of the stars, you are reborn." The Magos raised his mechadendrites in blessing. Designation, Arc-01. Strength unrestricted. Mind suppressed. Purpose, purge the unholy. A final spark of red glowed behind his eyes before fading. Superman, the man of steel, was gone. What remained was a machine of divine punishment. And somewhere, buried beneath circuits and hymns, a forgotten soul whispered in the dark. "The sun. I need the sun. The perfect weapon." The battlefield was a cathedral of death. Black smoke rolled across the plains, turning daylight into a pale, blood-red haze. The armies of chaos advanced in endless waves, twisted mutants, screaming demons, and heretics chanting the names of false gods. And at the center of it all, bound in chains of steel and lightning, stood Arc-01. His armor wasn't armor, it was grafted metal, fused into flesh. His once blue eyes were now red lenses glowing through scarred sockets. The holy reactor in his chest pulsed with every beat, every order. The Inquisitor's voice came through the vox. "Arc-01, purge the unclean. No hesitation. No mercy." Her finger pressed the activation rune. His body convulsed, pain surged through him like divine fire. Then he moved. Fast. Too fast. He tore through the front line like a storm, every strike breaking bone and steel. Heretics burst apart under his blows. Demons screamed as his reactor flared with blinding light. The soldiers behind him fell to their knees, whispering prayers. By the Emperor, the saint walks again. But inside the machine, deep beneath the agony and commands, something stirred. A voice. Faint. "No, this isn't right." Every time his fists shattered another life, the voice grew louder. "These are people. These are men." His programming tried to silence it. Pain circuits ignited, flooding him with torment until thought itself was impossible. Yet even through it, a flicker of memory. A mother's voice. A blue sky. A world without chains. He faltered. The Inquisitor's vox crackled. "Arc-01, resume function. Purge the heretics." He hesitated. A child was crying among the wreckage. Not a heretic. Just terrified. His sensors targeted her automatically. His body raised a hand, ready to strike. But his mind screamed. No. The chain of obedience shattered for a heartbeat. He turned his gaze upward, eyes burning red through tears he no longer knew how to cry. Above him, an Imperial gunship hovered, the Inquisitor inside, watching through her augmetics. Arc-01, she commanded, her voice sharp. Complete the purge. He looked down at the trembling child, then back at the ship. I remember. His voice was like thunder breaking through prayer. What mercy means. He grabbed the nearest Chaos Champion and hurled him skyward. The heretic smashed through the gunship's hull in a burst of blood and fire. Screams filled the Vox. The Inquisitor's voice turned to static. Arc-01 stood among the ruin, chest glowing, chains sparking. The soldiers stared in horror and awe. He looked at his own bloodied hands. Not steel. Not holy. Just his. For the first time since his conversion, Arc-01 fell to his knees and whispered a forbidden word. Hope. The breaking of faith. The battlefield was silent. The storm had passed. Thousands lay dead, heretics and Imperials alike, not from loyalty, but from one man's awakening. Arc-01 stood alone. His chains were broken, his obedience circuits fried by his own reactor's overload. The child he'd spared was gone, hidden beneath rubble and fear. But her face haunted him. She had reminded him of something, someone. Kal-El. Clark. Superman. The names rolled through his mind like forbidden scripture. In orbit, alarms blared aboard the Black Reliquary, an inquisitorial dreadnought. The surviving Muggos screamed in binary through the Vox. Arc-01 has gone rogue. He is off-script. He is self-aware. The Inquisitor, bloodied but alive, stared at the smoldering feed from the gunship wreckage. Her voice was trembling, not with fear, but with fury. Mobilize Exterminatus Protocol. The heretic must be annihilated. Back on the ground, Arc-01, no, Superman, stumbled across a ruined chapel. Inside, shattered statues of the Emperor stared down with hollow eyes. One bore a cracked resemblance to himself, muscular, defiant, arms raised toward the heavens. But where his was carved in stone, his real hands were soaked in blood. He looked at them. He remembered Earth. Sunlight. Justice. Lois. I am not your weapon, he whispered. I am not your god. Then the sky screamed. Thunderhawks descended. Adeptus Astartes in black and red armor disembarked, bolters drawn. They were Deathwatch, the Emperor's elite xenohunters. One raised a scanner. Signature confirmed. Xenoconstruct active. Terminate with extreme prejudice. The first bolt struck Superman square in the chest. He staggered, reactor flickering. They had enhanced their weapons, his body, even now, wasn't invincible in this realm. But neither was his will breakable anymore. I tried to serve your cause, he growled, rising. But mercy isn't heresy. It's humanity. He rushed the nearest Marine, crushing the bolter mid-fire, hurling the man into a shattered bell tower. The others surrounded him, chainswords, plasma, fire, it all came down. He fought back. Not to kill. Not anymore. To survive. To prove he was more than a tool. In orbit, the countdown began. Cyclonic torpedo armed. Exterminatus in 10. 9. 8. The Inquisitor's voice echoed coldly. Let this world burn if it means ending him. Superman looked up. He could hear it, the hum of death approaching. But above that, he heard something else. Hope. From the chapel's ruins, survivors were crawling out. Wounded guardsmen. Scared children. Civilians. All staring at him, not in fear, but in faith. One old woman whispered, "He saved us." Superman turned his burning gaze skyward. The reactor in his chest glowed, not red, but golden. He whispered, "If I must die, then I'll die saving them." The Man of Suns. The exterminatus torpedo burned through the void like the judgment of gods. A weapon designed to erase all life from a planet. Cities crumble. Oceans boil. Skies melt. Superman had only seconds. He looked down at the civilians huddled behind him, ragged, broken, afraid, yet still alive. He could leave them. Escape into orbit. He had the strength. But then, he wouldn't be Superman. "Run," he said softly. "I'll handle this." He turned and soared skyward, chains of war still dragging from his limbs, his reactor glowing brighter than ever before. The Death Watch below watched in awe. "He's intercepting the torpedo," one whispered. "Impossible." "He's not one of us," another muttered. "He's something else." Above the clouds, Superman met the weapon of extinction. It was beautiful in its own way, a divine spear of plasma and graviton fury. It reminded him of Krypton's final light. But this time, he wasn't a child. This time, he could fight back. Impact. The torpedo struck him like a collapsing star. The shockwave ignited the heavens. From orbit, the world bloomed in a white flare, then dimmed. The Dreadnought's bridge went silent. No confirmation. No detonation. Only static. The Inquisitor stared at the viewscreen. Did he? Her words died. She knew. On the surface, the people slowly opened their eyes. The world was still here. Above them, high in the sky, hovered a silhouette. His skin was scorched. His armor was molten. But in his hands, the shattered, disabled torpedo. He dropped it. It landed harmlessly in the dust. Superman descended like a fallen angel. Not as Arc-01. Not as a weapon. But as a man, broken, defiant, free. He stood before the Imperium's warriors and whispered, "You made me your slave. You tried to erase my name. But in the end, it wasn't your God who saved this world. It was mine." The Death Watch lowered their weapons. The civilians knelt. And somewhere in the galaxy, stories began to spread, of a man with fire in his chest, who stopped death itself, not for glory, but because it was right. They called him many things after that. The Radiant Heretic. The Man of Suns. The Fallen Saint. But on that day, he was just Superman again. And even in the grim dark of the 41st millennium, hope lived.